I started the morning shed trend that has been written up in more than 15,000 news sources, and there are still articles popping up about it every single day, more than 6 months after I posted the initial video. And while I, of course, think it's important to think critically about literally everything, I think that the news sources have taken it too far, and so have most of the people who have participated in this trend. For context, shortly after I posted that video, I was contacted by the New York Times and Allure to be interviewed for articles about the trend, and neither of them printed any of my quotes because my thought process didn't align with their narratives. And honestly, that was fine at the time. These stories were not specifically about me. The Allure story was called The Morning Shed and the Prison of Being Perpetually Hot, and the New York Times story was called How the Pursuit of Perfect Sleep Can Backfire, and it was more about sleep trends in general. And now there are articles in Vogue, CBS, another one in the New York Times. Basically every major news outlet has published something about this. Bustle called it one of the trends that defined 2024, and still nobody has printed anything about my thought process around this trend. So I thought I would read you what I sent to the New York Times. I developed my sleep routine after years of struggling with sleep hygiene. Prior to landing on a sleep routine that works well for me, I struggled with TMJ issues. I clenched my jaw all night and often woke up in pain. So I trained myself to sleep with my mouth open, thinking that it would provide some relief. I later saw a study showing that mouth breathing can have negative health consequences, from chronic fatigue to worsening nasal congestion. So I did some research and discovered mouth taping. It was the first effective addition to my routine since it allows me to keep my mouth closed while I sleep without exerting my jaw in order to do so. I realized that mouth taping is a bit controversial because some people can't breathe through their noses effectively for various reasons. I don't tape my mouth if I have any nasal congestion, and I don't recommend it to people who have impaired nasal breathing. There's a misconception that you can't breathe through your mouth at all while it's taped, but most mouth tapes actually have a slit in the center that allows you to take small breaths and yawn if you need to, which ensures safety. It took some trial and error to land on a taping method that worked well for me and stayed on all night, and it also took time for me to train myself to relax my jaw and depend on the tape. But it's been game-changing for me, and I continue to use it 4 years later. I also sleep with a side sleeper pillow, which provides neck support that a standard pillow doesn't. I incorporated it into my routine because I felt like my sleeping posture could use some work, and the pillow creates space between the shoulder and the neck. I found the side sleeper pillow difficult to sleep with at first because it's flatter than a regular pillow, but I've since learned that putting it on top of a regular pillow works best for me, and now I don't sleep as well without it. The other items I sleep with are a silk bonnet, which reduces friction on the hair and prevents breakage and split ends, and a silk eye mask, which I initially got because I prefer sleeping in total darkness, but I later realized that it has an added benefit of reducing pillow creases on my face. I also take magnesium glycinate to help me fall asleep, and I've noticed an improvement with restless legs since starting to take it. Once a week, I sleep with a Korean sleeping mask, which is an occlusive sheet mask that provides extra hydration to the skin overnight and is great for very dry skin like mine. I'm happy with my routine and I don't feel the need to add anything to it, plus I recognize that this is all a bit much. But my favorite hobby is leisurely self-care and sleeping. I've seen a lot of other creators showing their own sleep routines on TikTok, and everybody has a different routine based on what works best for them. Everybody is different and has different needs. So that's it. Obviously, a lot of people who are participating in this trend are joking or exaggerating about what they do, and that's fine. It was always supposed to be funny. So why aren't the news outlets in on the joke?